Приветствую вас, дорогие телезрители! К сожалению, YouTube удаляет эту серию по требованию правообладателя. Для того, чтобы посмотреть ее, вам нужно будет перейти по ссылке в закрепленном комментарии, который я оставлю внизу под этим видео. Приятного вам просмотра!
Of course, always fishermen and their fish traps. And there is a little boat with the fishermen hard at work. Beautiful sight. Every bit of fertile ground is used for cropping, except of course the bare hillsides. Quite spectacular scenery, and a delightful little village tucked away in the hollow. These people are tea pickers. But back to morning tea. And here, of course, the inevitable shop. Lots of jade carving, but I think they might be a little bit heavy to take home on the airplane, even if we did want them. And of course, rows and rows of Chinese paintings. But the morning tea was on, and we're eating locally grown walnuts. And there is a special wood block in which the walnut is placed in, hit with the little wooden hammer to break it, and Marjorie is really enjoying this one. Fresh, really tasty. We could have stayed there quite a long time, but time to go. On the road again are a truckload of Chinese soldiers. Everywhere in China there are many soldiers. Security in this part is especially serious because it's fairly close to some of the unsettled regions of Burma and Vietnam. Riding into the foothills. There's a truckload of coke and a soldier on a bike with a rifle. That's a grove of Australian blue gums. They really thrive here, as they do in many other parts of the world. There are some stooks of hay in the rice fields. This is an important part of the winter feed in this part of the world. Although Kunming is called the city of eternal spring, apparently there are distinct seasons, and the rice growing season is now in full swing. And rice is being dried along the roadside in many parts, as you'll see shortly.
This town is called Yiliang, Y-I-L-I-A-N-G. Takes its name from the meaning of this area is good for planting and growing crops, which it is. Quite a rich little town because of that.
trucks you see going along the road are mostly carrying coal or coke. This is quite a prolific area for coal mining, lots of coal underlying those hills, and a lot of coke is produced locally for local industry and for export a little further throughout the province.
Just up ahead you'll see some taxis now, horse-drawn taxis with half a dozen people on board. There's quite along here, they run into this
We've now come to a little village on a river, and there's the weir and the bridge over the river, and there are truckloads of coke being transported back toward Kunming, and on the bank very primitive beehive coke ovens, very old, and they would date way back into the last century, but still being used successfully, obviously, to produce coke, and good quality coke, large strong coke, ideal for use in foundries. And on the hill, a cement plant, and to the left, as we swing around now, another cement or lime plant, and on the river bank, a power plant. Quite a major centre of industry. And these little beehive coke ovens, primitive though they may be, produce beautiful coke. There it is, strong, large coke, ideal for foundry use. And there is the taxi loading another passenger to take them into town. But we have to go, and of course whenever we stop there's always somebody selling something. These people are selling beautiful fresh pomegranates, and along the road rice being grown. Everywhere there's a flat area of warm land or bitumen on which they can grow dry rice. They spread it out and winnow the rice and dry the grain everywhere. We're now approaching the stone forest. And that's our first sight of these wonderful limestone karst formations which have formed the stone forest. The inevitable tourist stalls, of course. Whenever there are tourists, there's somebody there to sell something to them. But it's been a long trip from Kunming and we're hungry, ready for lunch. And it was a good lunch. Beautiful Chinese food. Who knows what it was, but it tasted great. And of course, the inevitable beer. Chinese beer is good. It's all based on German brewing technology, and it's German-style lagers they produce. A good beer in almost every town. As you can see, Carl enjoyed that one. And the food, just look at that. Very hard to beat. Lots of it too. Shirley was serving Bruce and he was ready for more. Margie was doing well with her chopsticks. And at the other table they were doing just as well too. Yum yum. And Margie was looking after the photographer too. But away from the lunch room to bougainvillea growing over the gate, and then through the trees our first glimpse of the lake and the limestone karst formations. Then of course we had to pass the stalls to get there. They were all very good quality, and if one could carry them, and if one wanted them, they were very, very good buying. These are the local minority costumes. They are dye people. Another minority costume. And again. There are 26 minority groups in this area, and there is Gwen doing some pretty hard negotiating. But I don't think the vendor is going to take it on, no. Marjorie bought that. Quite beautiful. A little purse and bag for our granddaughter Nadia. Truly delightful. They don't give up. They are really keen sellers and a little hard to get away from them. But finally, away we go to the stone forest, put our purchases in the bus first and then down the track to the forest. This little girl wasn't very keen to be photographed. Looking across the lake to these limestone karst formations, it's a very, very beautiful spot. And there's an idyllic scene, a herdsman with his goats and cattle. Here's a confrontation between two goats. Whack. Whack again. But the old buffalo just keeps on his way. In fact, he looks to be headed straight for our party of tourists. And I think they're a little uncertain, but actually the buffalo takes the side track and all is well. A lovely sound of the bells. And there is the goat herdsman. These buffaloes need to know where they're going. And these are a lighter coloured variety. Now we head up into the hills and down into the stone forest. A nicely paved pathway leads up into the first vantage point, and there it is, a rest stop, from which we can see way out into the karst formation of the stone forest. Truly delightful spot. Covered an area of some 36 hectares. Down the track, a delightful pool with rock formations in the pool shaped somewhat like animals. These three little girls adopted us on the way and seem to travel right round with us. Delightful children. And here we are at a fun park in the middle of the stone forest. As you can see, we've got all sorts of interesting animals. And just look at that headdress, really smart. This fellow was tired in the shade, and his horse helped shade him a little more. And to the left we had a hungry little fella, but all was well. This camel seemed to be looking a bit tired and shaky in the legs. I think he thought he maybe should have a sit down, and that's exactly what he did. The walkway was quite narrow in places. That was a beautiful formation. And here we had to duck our head. And another rest stop. More minority dress. This is the hollow limestone which rings like a bell when struck. Another delightful single child. Well-developed walkways around the ponds amidst the limestone karst formations. Extremely attractively done. It was very high in places, as you can see. And there's somebody up on top.
I've been practicing.
You must go around way, round about there.
Little girls have found some nice vines to swing on. Those voices are a little minority group having a great time. Another rest stop. More hollow limestone.
Go ahead, Lee.
Another lookout up on the hill. And here is Grandma with her only grandchild, because with only one child per family, there's only one grandchild. She's very proud of him. We head back towards Kunming, and there is a big truckload of very large coke with a rather risky passenger on the back. Back at the lake, there is the power plant on the other side. We stopped briefly to have another look at the fishermen at work. Here we are back at our hotel.
The Golden Dragon Hotel.
And over dinner that evening, a wonderful show.
All of them were taking and you will come to the world of the ancient and the mystical sea. I'm sure that you will have a wonderful evening. And the dragon is a token of the hotel for you. Do you like the dragon of our country? Now, please enjoy the national dance of Dragon Life.
Unfortunately, the restaurant had some rather rowdy Korean patrons as well, who spoke loudly right through the show and rather spoiled it for the other diners. But notwithstanding that, it was truly superb.
girls are wearing the beautiful garments with the luxuries. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy our dance. My dear friends, look please. Our beautiful girls of the Royal Dai are having trust with a dancing flash dance.多像一朵朵盛开的牡丹花，娇艳美丽。She is from the Zhejiang County. Look please, what a unique style her beautiful girls have. 您看，她的裙子别有一番风味。这位是居住在昆明路南的彝族沙彝族姑娘，仅仅是她漂亮的帽子和披肩就特别招人喜爱。She lives in Lunan County around the stone forest. 竹姑娘，欢迎您，远方的朋友。They are also from the bank of the Pungta River.
It had been a great show the previous night after a truly wonderful day out in the Stone Forest. But here we are gathered in the foyer next morning, looking a little disconsolate as we look at the waterfall at the back of the hotel lobby and look out to teeming heavy rain. We could have gone across the road to the Friendship store, except we'd get pretty wet getting there. Looking around the lobby, everybody was looking a little disappointed, trying to figure out what to do. And when you think about it, there was really only one thing to do, and that was to have a look at the truly excellent shops on the mezzanine floor of the hotel, just above the lobby. There are lots of carved jade, of course, jade everywhere, but somehow I think that might be a little heavy to carry back on the airplane. This is a magnificent kite hanging from the ceiling, a huge kite, silk on the wire frame. Lots of batik and brocade. That is a traditional 100 men, 100 Chinese men embroidered on brocade.
This is what we're trying to look at. This is gradual, so we think I will get one day.
And there was a good art gallery. Some of the painting surprisingly modern. Just look at that one. And this woodcut of the hunt. Superb animals and the hunter, and he becomes the hunted too. Lots of magnificent Chinese embroidery and true China pottery, and of course lots of pandas, pandas everywhere. And superbly carved jade on nice stands, and beautiful pewter, magnificent pewter. And of course the silk screen embroidery, traditional Chinese craft. more carved jade, more pots. And down below in the foyer, things were looking a little brighter. The rain was diminishing, and maybe we might be able to go out. The pool outside, in fact, was showing the rain had almost stopped. So away we go to look at some of the magnificent sights around Kunming. This is the entryway to the Golden Temple. Incense on the forecourt leading up to the statue of Buddha. And there is Buddha with his attendants.
Can you get a picture of that, Bob?
And of course the inevitable wishing well, being well patronised by our group.
You'll be lucky. We'll lose your 5 cents.
But we're now heading away to the Golden Temple itself, right up on the hill. But on the way out, we'll look at some 800-year-old trees in this garden. These old trees are a very special feature of this garden. Still raining, but good pathways, beautiful paved pathways, a little slippery underfoot in places, and especially where it became a dirt track. But it was a delightful, damp forest on the hillside above Kunming. A great walk, ever up and up and up towards the Golden Temple right up on top. This is the typical moon gate in the wall. Then through the forest, the tracks are winding up the hill. A little rest pavilion on the way. And finally, the Golden Temple itself. A superb structure.